In other news, gaming, unfortunately, I hate to be the one to break it to you, but gaming is fucking dead. That's right. The Resident Evil 2 remake has sold fewer than 10,000 copies on iOS. Fuck! God damn it! Fuck! So I did not know that there was a version of Resident Evil 2 remake on iOS until I read this headline. And I don't think you did either. I don't have an iPhone, so I can't look it up. I went on the Google Play Store and I searched up Resident Evil 2 remake out of curiosity, and I got a game called Residents of Evil 2. So I don't think that's the same thing. Apparently Capcom has a port of RE2 remake on iOS devices on the App Store only. So it's like essentially it's free. It is free, but it's only like a small portion, basically like a demo. The first week that the game launched, you could then buy the rest of the game for $10. A couple weeks afterwards, they jacked it up to the intended price, original price, because that $10, that was a sale. The real price is $40. This is I'm reading an article from Video Games Chronicle. It is citing information from mobilegamer.biz, which itself is sourcing from a mobile app tracking service called App Magic. Estimates the game has just passed $100,000 in in-app purchases, which is essentially how many people actually bought the full game. This is compared to other ports of Resident Evil 4, Assassin's Creed Mirage, and Death Stranding. I did not know that these existed. I thought that they stopped doing this. I know that in, there was like a mobile port of Street Fighter 4, I think. And there was they did the Mega Man games, and those were somehow terrible. Those somehow ran badly. What are they called? Mega Man mobiles. Yeah, and you had to get them all individually, which is silly. So yeah, there are iOS ports of Resident Evil 4, RE Village, Death Stranding, and AC Mirage. They have not sold very well. Specifically, this is another article also from VGC. The Assassin's Creed Mirage app had a similar business model where you'd essentially get a demo and then pay for the rest. This time, $50. Now, this is kind of interesting. So here's the thing. When I first heard that there was even a port of this game today, I was like, in my mind, I'm going, okay, this has to be some crunched down version of RE2 remake. So I looked up some footage of the game, like some benchmarks across a couple different iOS devices. The game looks shockingly good. It looks really good. The bulk box has 0 rares. Fuck! Sorry. Damn it. I'm just getting commons, I guess. I'm trying to build a Florian deck in Flesh and Blood. Anyway, I should really just mute Discord while I'm recording. Right. So the game looks really good and runs, for the most part, at a pretty stable frame rate. I don't know if stable, but fairly high. It's bouncing, but I don't think in all the footage I saw from the guy doing the benchmarks, plural, never dipped below 30. and in a lot of cases was between 40 and 60, especially if there wasn't a whole lot going on. At worst, you could see the performance hitch a little bit, but still like totally playable. Very similar to playing it on like a medium to low end spec system, like a PC or something. Not bad at all. Like textures, lighting effects, even some reflections, rain effects, and all that. Still looked pretty good. I have no idea how it controls. I don't know if they adapted the control scheme, but it honestly looks like a pretty solid port of the game to iOS. It looks like it ran the best on like an iPad. Although, oh my god, I imagine this thing got just overheated your fucking device so badly. I can only imagine. Probably chews through battery too. But I mean, if you don't have a console and you're a Mac gamer, might be because again, it probably chews through batteries so fast. Calling this, an experience on the go is a little silly. Like maybe if you're able to shack up to a charger at wherever you're staying, probably not that bad of an experience. To my surprise, I don't know. I didn't look up footage of the RE4 or the Assassin's Creed or the Death Stranding. I didn't look up any of those. But it is kind of shocking that handheld devices are now at the level where they look like last gen, like just one gen behind, which for most cases is more than enough, right? We've talked about that before. Way more than enough for a lot of games. I don't think that if you're playing on mobile, you're necessarily expecting a graphical... There's a lower expectation. It's not going to be a graphical powerhouse showcase. It's not going to be a tech demo. Although it could be a tech demo for the phone, but I digest. And it really... What I find funny about this is not just the concept, because it is kind of cool, right? It is cool that you can actually get this whole game to run pretty well. It's that the business model is so curious, and I don't know why they thought it would work. There was a time, I remember when... It's so messed up to me that I meet kids who were born after the iPhone was already like a thing in society. The iPhone came out in 2007 when I was 5. So I'm not going to pretend like, I was punching in numbers on a rotary phone or anything. But I remember when it was new. And the first 2 or 3 iPhone versions, when that was still integrating into society. I remember when the iPad came out. I remember when all this shit was new. And mobile gaming was a thing that was just starting to take off, right? It was kind of a thing with flip phones. Like it was a very vestigial market. And then with the App Store, which wasn't introduced until the iPhone 2, the second one, I don't remember what they called it, until the second version, until the second iPhone, the App Store was what really made mobile gaming take off and turned it into like a crazy, I mean, that's just an extension of just the app industry, the mobile app industry. But gaming has always been interesting because there was a time when the market has really shifted and the common pricing models. 99 cents used to be a very standard price for a lot of mobile games. There also used to be, you'd occasionally run into a $5, $10 game. You could go on many, the Google Play Store, the App Store, probably other third-party app stores as well. And you can still find ports of like classic, like retro games and stuff, old Final Fantasies and stuff that they're selling for like $10. And that is, at some point, it became clear, and I don't know if this was a cultural thing or what, but it became clear that people were not willing to pay that much money. I think 99-cent apps still you'll still see them. But free to play, it's really shifted towards free to play with microtransactions. Like, that's the model now. And it could be that the audiences consider mobile games to be, there is like a difference. And it's funny because, like, yeah, it's a 99 cents versus free. It's a minor upfront cost, but it's still an upfront cost. And I think, like, psychologically, when there's an upfront cost on something you don't know if you'll like, and there's another thing that you don't know if you'll like but is free, I think most people are going to opt for the free thing every time. And then, this is kind of like the psychology of how free-to-play models work. Once you're sold, quote unquote, on the game, like that you like it, people will just be more willing after the fact to support you. Kind of like, I mean, this is kind of like my business model. Like, I give you videos for free. I don't charge for them. YouTube is a free service. You don't even need an account to watch YouTube videos. And then you can choose to donate to me or subscribe to me on Ko-fi or Patreon or, the likes. You get to say, I like this guy's videos so much that I am going to give him money to support him. Thank you very much. And, the model itself, I'm not opposed to. The part that I find interesting is just kind of like, I don't know, the history of it. I want to say that it probably started with a lot of big games. Clash of Clans was probably a big one. That's a free game. League of Legends, not a mobile game, but proved the F2P model. And there were many other console and PC games, mainly PC games, that followed. And I think that it seemed like a really natural extension for the mobile market, which was already seen as a pretty low cost, like very low cost price model thing. I didn't phrase that very well. And I don't know what came first, the chicken or the egg. Did people not see mobile games as being in depth enough or as much of an experience? Are mobile games considered, was it that people considered them so throwaway or so kind of ethereal that they weren't willing to pay as much for them? Or was it that mobile games innovated on certain price models that over time got people used to the idea that mobile games are really low cost or just free in most cases? Because at some point, people, just general audiences, I'm like this too. Like, I don't even want to pay 99 cents for a game. Like, which is funny because if it's a PC game, if it's like $2, I'm like, oh, hell yeah, I'll buy that. But if it's a mobile game for $2, I'm like, I don't know. Because I look at it as also, I'm looking for just kind of like sort of a light, casual experience. And despite the fact that doesn't really mean anything in terms of how intense they are to develop for, that like translates into how much I'm willing to pay, right? Like, this is weird. Okay, leave a comment down below. I'm so curious if anyone else feels the same way. Do you also make that weird kind of correlation? Because it doesn't make a lot of sense. Which is why it is so funny to me that Capcom, in the year of our Lord, like, when could this have come out? A couple of years ago? Within the last few years, decided that they were going to present people with a version of RE2 Remake that, yes, might have been like a free demo up front, but forced you to pay like $40. Like, okay, I don't know, like usually the model is you can play most of the game, at least, if not the whole game, free. You can, like, it's possible. Might be a grind, might be a time investment. Maybe certain things are locked off to paying customers via subscription or exclusive currency or something like that, or just straight up buying certain expansions or something like that, right? Like, that tends to be the way that it's done. But you can get most of the experience for free. There is something very unsatisfying about playing a demo and then being like, pay $40 more on your telephone. And I just think that, like, psychologically it rubs people the wrong way. I think that people just don't wanna. To be fair, there are quite a few people who did. I mean, they said 10,000 sales. Maybe most of those, we don't know how much money that translated into. We don't know how much money that translated into, because, mind you, they jacked the price from $10 to $40. I imagine there was a huge fall off between those price changes. But yeah. Do you agree with this? Had you heard of any of these games? Death Stranding iOS. Really? Huh. Okay. What microtransactions would you have most wanted out of these games if they were going to go down that route? Because that's usually what you see. You usually see, instead of we're going to port, most companies pivoted to, instead of porting games down to a mobile specs, we're going to create a unique game for mobile that is designed with a more mobile-friendly business model. Or it's something like, I don't know, Hearthstone, where the game is designed from the ground up to be playable and accessible on PC or on a mobile device. There's no Hearthstone on console. Blizzard, how many? Oh, is Overwatch? Overwatch is on consoles. Yeah, it is. No, it totally is. Yeah, is that the only one that they've got on console? Do they have any other games on console? I don't know, I guess. Oh, Diablo. They had Diablo 3 and 4. Okay. And Immortal, didn't they? Right? Anyway. Yeah. So, poor Capcom.